Hello guys, I'm Ira and today we are going to cover History Chapter 1 called How, When and Where from Class 8 textbook. Now let's start with the chapter. How important are dates? There was a time when history was all about dates. There used to be debates about dates and among historians about on which day rulers were crowned and wars were fought. In a common notion, history was claimed synonymous with dates. But history is not about that. It's about changes that occurs over time. It is about how things were in past and how it has changed. Now let's talk about which dates. The dates around which we compose our past story is not important. What is important is life events. If we start focusing on a new issue, the new sets of dates important to them is going to appear. For instance, history written by British historians solely focuses on the rule of each Governor General because this was what was important to them. How do we periodize? The purpose of periodizing is to capture the characteristics of time and its central feature. The term in which we periodize is called demarcate. The differences between different periods become important. They reflect our ideas about the past and show us how we change significance of changes from one period to the next. For instance, historians have divided Indian history in three parts: ancient, medieval and modern. In a periodization that is borrowed from the West, what is colonial? In this, you will read about the way British came to our country and established their rule. How they took control over the economy and society, collected revenues, brought goods at low prices, produced crops they need to export. How their rule leads change in politics, economic, social and cultural ways. When the conquest of one country on another brings changes like this, it's called colonialism. To know about that, we refer to the administration records of British era. Britishers were very keen on writing. They thought it was an important act. So every rule and order was written by people in beautiful calligraphy and preserved. With the spread of printing, multiple spreads of these documents were printed and now used for historian measure. Surveys became important. In colonialist rules, British thought knowing a country is important to rule it. Therefore, they held surveys. By early 19th century, detailed surveys were conducted for knowing the revenue, religion, flora, fauna and much more. What official records do not tell. We need to remember that these records are based on what was important for officials and what they thought to know. To know what others people felt from these things, we need to look somewhere else, as in the diary of people, pilgrims, newspaper and more. Now let's head to the questions related to this chapter. Starting with, let's recall. We have some true-false. First, James Mill divided Indian history in three periods: Hindu, Muslim, Christian. True. Official documents help us understand what people of the country feel. This is called false. The British thought surveys was important for effective administration rule. True. In Let's Do section, we have first question. What is the problem with the periodization of the Indian history that James Mill offers? In his massive works, 3-volume work, A History of British India, James Mill divides Indian history into three periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. According to his version, British rule were all the forces of progress and civilization, and before that, everything was dark, ignorant, despotism, religious, intolerance and caste taboos, superstitious practices and etc. However, it is problematic to base history on religion because in India there is a variety of faiths over time. Therefore, it is not right to classify an age according to the religion of the rulers. Another thing to remember is that all the rulers in ancient India did not share the same faith. Now let's go to the question number 2. Why did the British preserve official documents? For the British, the act of writing was important. Therefore, every official document had to be clearly written up and preserved. Once this was done, things could be properly studied and debated. The preserved documents could be used as a point of reference whenever required. Now, let's see question number 3. How will the information historians get from old newspaper be different from the found in police reports? For writing about a period of histories, and historians need to research sources from different places at one time, because one source only tells a perspective from one side and what was important to them, but for historians, every perspective is important. So students, this is all from the chapter How, When and Where. For more such videos, click and subscribe to the AglaSem Schools. Bye-bye.